Our MC is named Muffin, a third-year student. Muffin has just finished the registration exam and he can't wait for the results. Muffin is very curious because the exam was about magic. This happened when Muffin was given a pendant while he was sleeping behind Mount 3 months ago, so his life became like that. Even everyone around him was busy talking about magic. Other friends talk about Muffin because he finished the exam very quickly. They thought Muffin had given up on his test. According to one of his friends, the last question about the 7 elements of magic was very difficult, so he couldn't answer it. Then one student said to a man named Mubai, surely he can easily answer the question. With a casual tone, Mubai said that the test was just the basic theory of the magic exam. After that, the students would be asked to determine their awaken, but if the students failed the exam, they wouldn't be able to become a wizard. Then a chubby student said that Mubai surely had awakened judging from his build. Mubai just laughed because he felt very confident, while Muffin was very troubled because he was still waiting for the results of the exam. Muffin walked towards the gate and saw his father. Muffin asked why his father was there. His father said he was there to pick Muffin up and take him home. Then his father asked, "How's your magic exam?" Muffin looked gloomy and said he wasn't sure if he would be accepted. His father asked Muffin to work with his uncle in another city, but Muffin wanted to learn magic and hoped he could be accepted. His father said he would support Muffin and encouraged him. His father realized that Muffin didn't want to live like him. Muffin lived in a very simple family and his father had debts to pay. A few days later, Muffin walked with his friend named Xiao Hong, a childhood friend and a classmate. Xiao Hong was kind and funny. Zhang always supported Muffin and called him a brother. He wanted to become stronger to protect his friends in the city from disasters. Then Zhang told Muffin that their female friend named Ningxu had returned. Ningxu was Muffin's childhood friend, a genius ice wizard who was accepted at the Imperial Magic University at the age of 15. Muffin ignored Zhang's words and continued walking. From afar, Muffin saw his father chatting with an old man named Zhao. Zhao was Ningxu's father and he looked very cynical. His father asked Zhao Yun to help Muffin get accepted into the magic school. His father begged Zhao Yun, but he refused. Zhao Yun was angry because of Muffin's past actions which had caused his daughter to run away. His father said that Zhao Yun's daughter had returned home safe and sound. His father was willing to do anything for Muffin to be accepted into the magic school. His father knew that Muffin loved magic, so he always supported him. Muffin's father's name was Mo Xing and he was their family driver. Then Zhao Yun gave conditions to Mo Xing, and he agreed. That night, his father gave Muffin the news that his father's friend would help the boy get into the magic school. His father asked Muffin to focus on studying and becoming a great wizard in the future, while he would rent a house for them and find work for their daily needs. Muffin was very touched to see his father like that, and he said he would become a wizard. His father mentioned Ningxu, who had returned from abroad. Then Muffin changed the subject to Fat Lady when his father mentioned him. After dinner, Muffin immediately studied in his room. Muffin remembered when he was with Ningxu, trying one crystal at a time, and each student got their own awaken. Then the teacher would give badges to the students. The first student who tried and managed to use the ice element as a shield. 4 students watched your strength, both handsome and very smart in class, while the chubby student mocked Muffin for successfully entering the magic school through Zhang's nepotism. Zhang defended Muffin and asked his friends not to listen to other people's complaints. Finally, the moment arrived when Muffin tried his awaken element. His master doubted Muffin's ability, and he felt very embarrassed to have a failed student. When Muffin tried to awaken his element, the parachute stone, the 11th grade class was amazed because one of its students could have such an awesome awakened skill, lightning. The master and the students went to see the action of that student, while Muffin was very concentrated on summoning his awaken while meditating. Next, Muffin concentrated, and he was able to unleash 2 elements, lightning and fire. However, the master and his friends were still in the 11th grade. After Muffin opened his eyes, he saw that only the fire element remained in his hand. Shortly after, the master and Mubai returned to the class. The master was very happy to know that Muffin could use the fire element. Mubai and the chubby man were eager to know. One of the students began to doubt if Muffin entered the magic academy through the back door. Then, Zhang hugged Muffin and was very happy to know that his friend could have an awaken and fire element. In his heart, the boy laughed because his friends were amazed to see him as a fire element user. If they knew Muffin was a user of 2 elements, fire and lightning, then his class would be surprised. But Muffin tried to restrain himself from saying that to his friends. Someday, Muffin would demonstrate his skills directly. 2 months later, the teacher explained about the zodiac of awaken users who must know how to activate the stars to use each element. The rotating star consists of 7 parts, and the students will reach the highest level if they can master it. The process of displaying the rotating star is obtained from cultivation. The students were asked to concentrate on cultivation to reach the highest level. Then, the teacher called Mubai to demonstrate how to summon the mobile star. He went to the front of the class and started his action. He successfully summoned a rotating mobile star of level 5, which was evident from its brightness. The students were amazed at your intelligence and always being an outstanding student. Mubai smiled cunningly and returned to his seat. The teacher explained the next steps to the students. Unconsciously, the bell rang, and it was time for the students to go home. The chubby man started to mock Muffin and underestimate him because he still had a level 1 star. Likewise, other friends looked down on Muffin because he had the lowest skill in class. The chubby man even laughed at his father, who was willing to sell his house to educate Muffin, even though Muffin was very stupid. He asked the chubby man to stop his chatter. Then, Muffin left the school and practiced summoning skills in the alleys near his house. Muffin felt desperate when he tried to reach the highest star because his lightning element always failed. Muffin tried again and again but failed, so he stopped. Then, Muffin went to the park and saw a woman named Saint being bullied by Xianxia. Sister was very angry to see a group of thugs taking the wheelchair of his younger sibling. When Muffin was about to rampage, Xianxia tried to stop his brother, but Muffin didn't care and immediately released the thugs. The thugs said they would make Xianxia his girlfriend, but his sister was too proud, even though Xinjia, a disabled girl, should be grateful to get a guy like a thug. Xinjia's brother was angry to hear his sister being insulted by the thug boss. Then Muffin acted and activated the rotating star Zodiac. Muffin counted the stars that could be used, reaching 7 stages, and immediately released lightning. The lightning power directly attacked the thug boss until he fell. Then the thugs begged for forgiveness, saying they still had children and wives to support, which made Muffin decide to spare them. Muffin took the wheelchair and gave it to Xinjia, his sister, who was silent seeing the awesome power of her brother. Moving to your family's residence, you see your uncle and nephew talking. Nior asked you how your magic training was going. Mubai proudly told his uncle that he had reached level 5. The uncle was very proud of his grandson and asked Mubai to maintain good relations with his former teacher. Then, your aunt asked about Muffin. Mubai said that Muffin was just a loser who got the lowest grades. He said he would expel Muffin from the academy if he got lower grades. The uncle and nephew laughed at Muffin's life as a loser. In the evening, Muffin thought while showering about the events earlier in the day. Muffin was able to summon lightning elements but didn't know how to use fire elements. When Muffin tried it in the water, suddenly the shower felt very hot because of the fire element. After finishing showering, Muffin saw his younger sibling bringing food to his room. The younger sibling asked about Muffin's power, which had increased dramatically. Others might think that Muffin came from the very dangerous Black Order organization. Muffin asked his sibling to rest and locked his room. Muffin would ask Xinjia to keep his lightning element a secret. Therefore, Muffin would use the fire element in front of the students before the exam started. Thus, Muffin had to keep his lightning power a secret from the world. The next day, when he arrived in class, Muffin saw the chubby teacher named Tang Yu who would teach. Tang Yu was very pretty, so the students burned wooden experiment statues with fire element techniques called Ignite. The students were amazed to see the teacher's fire technique, as was Muffin. Later, Mubai met at Mura's residence. They planned cunning tactics together so that Muffin would fail the school exam. Mubai asked if Muffin had to get a D grade to be expelled from the academy. Uncle asked his nephew not to worry because R had a cunning way of eliminating Muffin so that he wouldn't hinder Mumbai later. Then Mura took out a black stone from his pocket and explained its function to you. The black stone precisely absorbed the magical energy of every awakened user so that Muffin didn't have the energy to use the fire element and was declared failed in the school exam. Mura would place the black stone when the teachers had checked Muffin's crystal. With the plan executed, both uncles and nephews, Seiko, would witness the destruction of Muffin. Both of them laughed imagining the failure of the MC in school. Muffin continued to practice day after day, cultivating. Muffin continued to practice without realizing that 1.5 months had passed. Finally, the day of the H exam arrived, held on the school field. The principal allowed the professors to give one word in front of the students, followed by informing them that a transfer student named Mu Ningxu would join the academy. Ningxu was a student from the elite class and was very talented in using magic. Then the principal asked Ningxu to give a speech on the podium, but the woman went up to the podium without saying a word and demonstrated her magic. Ningxu was a very powerful ice element user and the students watched in awe. After that, the principal started the exam for the students on the field. A student named Heiyu was very scared and nervous before going up to the podium. The teacher encouraged his students not to be afraid and to show the results of their training so far. Then Heiyu went up to the podium and recited her magic, and she succeeded, getting a grade. This was followed by Zhang, Muffin, who would go up to the podium. Zhang started his action and successfully got a grade. Then he asked the teacher if he could perform a magic release move. After that, he began his recitation but failed. He was very disappointed and got down from the podium, saying that if he practiced more, he would surely master it. Next, Mumbai stepped onto the podium. The arrogant man began his recitation and successfully got an ice grade. Then Mubai said he would perform a release move and began his action. Mubai used ice elements and attacked the wooden statue, so he got a B grade. The students idolized Mubai, who seemed okay with being arrogant. Muffin then stepped down from the podium while looking at the woman's face until finally it was Muffin's turn to be called to the podium. He signaled to the supervisor to place the black stone under the crystal ball. Then Muffin stepped forward and began his action, but the magical energy from the crystal ball was absorbed by the black stone. The students laughed at his stupid magic and deservedly got the lowest score. Mr. Guru was very surprised and started to worry. Muffin was expelled from school, but the MC didn't want to lose and tried again. Muffin began to concentrate and release the fire element on the crystal ball until the black stone shattered. Then he got a B and was declared passed. The students were very surprised. How could Muffin get a B when he was so weak? They began to suspect when they saw his crystal ball. The teacher asked to conduct a retest because the crystal pattern was damaged. The students suspected that the crystal ball was indeed damaged and disagreed with Muffin getting a high score. The woman knew that Muffin had a very cool magic skill, while you were very good and increasingly hated Muffin. Mubai just found out that all this time Muffin had been gathering his magic energy. Even Muffin could surpass the mobile magic skill, and that made him unhappy. Tang Yu felt from the beginning that Muffin indeed had extraordinary magic skills. Jiang was very happy to know that Muffin was very genius and had a high score. But that's not all. The MC asked the teacher if he could perform Muffin's release move. Muffin unleashed his very powerful technique, and the audience was stunned to watch the scene. Then Muffin released a burst of fire and burned the wooden statue. Cupcake 4 praised the extraordinary ability of the boy who had it. Ningxu's father, Mozo Yun, called Muffin Tuance and praised the godlike skill Muffin had in public. Zhao also invited Muffin to join the elite wizard club and provide magic weapons. But loudly Muffin refused in public. Then Muir was very angry to see Muffin's recklessness towards his brother. Muffin said he would not forget Zoyan's insult to his father all this time. So Muffin asked Zhao Yun not to praise him in front of many people. Muffin knew that Zoyan's heart was very rotten and very vengeful towards him. Muffin explained to Soyu that he would never forgive his actions against his father. Then the headmaster asked Muffin to speak more politely and cool his head. Muffin refused and said that only if Zhao Yun apologized to his father would he not raise the issue. Muffin got angry and said that if they were the same age, he would hit him. Miura was shocked to see such a rude child like Muffin. Miura said he would expel Muffin from the academy for insulting an important guest of the wizard school. The headmaster reaffirmed that Muffin could not be expelled without his permission. The headmaster objected when Muffin was expelled from school, then Zoyan didn't stay quiet and challenged Muffin to a duel with his foster son named Yuan. Muffin accepted Zhuo Yun's challenge and gave him conditions. If Zhu Yun lost, he would have to kneel and apologize to his father, but if Muffin lost, he would have to bow down and apologize to Zoyan. Both sides agreed to the duel and would do it, but Tang also read the duel rules to both parties. Both sets of students were allowed to duel if they were 18 years old. Since Muffin was underage, the duel would be held in 2 years. Muffin and Jaeil agreed and would label the fight in 2 years. In Muffin's heart, he had to cultivate more diligently to awaken his skills. The woman looked at Muffin's face and vice versa without words. The two looked at each other, then the woman left with her father. Next, Muffin continued to practice, increasing his cultivation because the test results were out, and Muffin managed to enter the elite class. Muffin became the top student in the elite class, while Mubai was at level 2. Then the teacher introduced the magic equipment that the students would use later. The magical equipment was very rare and expensive. Therefore, Muffin, as the first rank, could use it first. The magic equipment was used alternately by the students, so if the magical equipment was damaged, the student would be expelled and not allowed to be a witch again. Tang Yu would teach magic practice to the elite students. After that, Muffin practiced within the puppet room. Muffin trained his fire element there. Mubai and a burly man were watching Muffin. Then Muffin approached and asked if Yuum used magic equipment to practice. Mubai explained that of course Yuum used magic equipment every day and he was very good at it. Muffin wouldn't be able to beat him because Yuum had godlike skills. Mubai also explained that Ningxu used spirit-type magic equipment, so she always practiced using it. Muffin was surprised to know that magical equipment had various types, feeling frustrated, and said that the magical equipment used by the school was a normal type. Therefore, Muffin didn't hope to win directly and left without bothering. That night, Muffin practiced using magical equipment in the attic. But when Muffin was cultivating his pendant, it always moved, making the child wonder. Muffin did his action again and saw his pendant devouring the magical equipment. The MC started to feel troubled. How could the pendant eat it? Soon Tang Yu approached Muffin, who looked panicked, asking what happened. The child initially didn't want to admit his actions, but Muffin had no other way but to return the magical equipment. Then Muffin recounted the chronology of the incident Seeing Muffin's pendant, Fat Lady said it was a magical equipment of growth type, able to devour rock and other magical equipment. Muffin said that the pendant was a family heirloom. Muffin intended to give the pendant to Tang Yu because he didn't know how to use it to store it and use it slowly. The problem of the disappearing magical equipment made the child think that Fat Lady liked it very much, so he wanted to help Muffin. Then Muffin returned to his room and began his cultivation the next day. As the students left for their magic practice training, Muffin reminded them to be careful when they arrived at the training area, as monsters might infiltrate and attack them, although the academy had sent protective forces to ensure the students' safety during training. Upon arrival at the location, the head of the committee, Jang Kong, announced the magic practice training that the students would undergo. They were asked to hunt inside the cave as a practice in using their magic. The students complained that it was very dangerous and they didn't want to risk their lives. Muffin asked, "What are the consequences if students fail to pass?" Jang Kong replied that if the students failed, they wouldn't pass and wouldn't be allowed to use magic again. Then Muffin asked, "What if the students pass? Do they get a reward?" Jang Kong explained that winners and students who passed would receive magical armor equipment. Determined to get that prize and defeat Young next, Muffin was determined. The hunt began. The students were asked to reach a place to defeat a one-eyed wolf. The students were divided into several groups, but both the mobile team and Muffin's team managed to arrive safely. The students worked together to overcome the difficulties that lay ahead. A student named Hayu was very afraid of hunting and asked her friend, a girl named Zaman, if she was afraid. Zaman, a strong woman, asked Hayu if she wasn't afraid. Hayu explained to Zaman that they were witches and needed to be mentally strong. Shifting to the committee gathering, a man reported that both Muffin's team and the movie team had arrived at the mouth of the cave. Jang Kong stated that he would evaluate both teams, smiling as he asked if it wasn't dangerous to let the children hunt without supervision. Jang Kong wanted to test the students' wizarding skills, so he had to give them challenges. When the students entered the cave, Muffin went to the river instead. Observing him, Jang quickly informed his friends about the information that there might be other creatures in the cave, dangerous for the students. However, the plump man's babble was not accepted because his theory didn't make sense. Mubai didn't believe him and led the team into the cave. Shortly after, they saw a large one-eyed wolf. The students ran, leaving the cave, while Mubai tried to stop the wolf with his ice element. The same with Zoom Min. Then Muffin came to rescue Zoom Min and took her away from the cave. Zoom Min was stubborn and wanted to help, but the one-eyed wolf was too powerful, and the others couldn't penetrate its defense. Muffin transformed and used his fire element magic to burn the wolf. The monster got hot and jumped into the river. The committee watched the students fight with satisfaction, finally seeing a student who could defeat the monster. It turned out the wolf was a spirit sent by a member as a training exercise for the students. However, the spirit of the wolf couldn't be controlled and was out of control, so it started rampaging and attacking the students. The training committee prepared to rescue the students in the cave. They saved Hayu from the wolf's target using wind magic, while Muffin observed the movement of the one-eyed wolf from behind a rock. Unaware, the wolf was behind Muffin's head and he was slashed. Jang came to save Muffin, and they moved away from the mouth of the cave. Muffin and Jang planned to lure the wolf back into the cave so the students would be safe. After that, Hayu and Zaman couldn't bear to see their friends sacrifice themselves, while the other friends were very scared and didn't help Muffin and Jang. Master Jang Kong landed at the mouth of the cave and asked where the one-eyed wolf was. Zoom Min explained to Master Guru that Muffin and Jang had brought the wolf into the cave. Shifting to Muffin and Jang, they arrived in the cave and avoided the wounded one-eyed wolf, rescuing Muffin who was unconscious. Muffin went berserk seeing his friend severely injured because of the wolf. Muffin released his magic elements on the wolf, binding its body, but the wolf could still move and was about to attack the boy. Muffin had an idea. He used the fire element, Ignite level 2, and cut a sharp stone in the cave sky. The sharp stone landed on the wolf, piercing it deeply. The wolf collapsed instantly and died horribly. Then, Muffin panicked seeing his friend in extreme pain and injured. Shortly after, Jang Kong arrived at the scene and saw 3 pairs of wolves. He asked if Muffin had killed them. Muffin shook his head and asked Jang Kong to help his friend. Jang Kong inspected the wounds on the wolf and was not sure. Muffin only used Ignite level 2, but Muffin didn't want to explain and said he only used fire elements. Then, Tang Yu and others arrived inside the cave and saw the wolf lying down. One of the committee members was angry at Jang Kong for killing his wolf spirit. Jang Kong explained that Muffin was the one who killed the wolf, not him. When Jang Kong arrived, the wolf was already dead. The committee was shocked and mourned the loss of their most powerful spirit animal, especially since they couldn't accept that the red wolf was defeated by a student. Next, Pak Zamkong would give evaluations to the students. All students received an A grade, while Muffin received an S grade. One of the committee members reminded Pak Jang Kong of his promise to the winning student. The winner would receive magical equipment, his armor. Since Muffin defeated the spirit wolf, the students cheered. They acknowledged Moffin's success. After that, Pak Jang Kong awarded Moffin and Jang, and, not forgetting, Moffin asked for the promised magical equipment from Pak Jang Kong. Then, Jang offered Moffin to join him, but Moffin immediately refused because he felt that Jang was more like a bandit than a teacher. He felt there was something hidden about the boy regarding the death of the spirit wolf before the event. Jang Kong examined the wolf's body and found strange attacks on it. Shortly after, the committee informed the chairman that their headquarters were attacked by very old wild animals and asked the members to prepare weapons for resistance. Without realizing it, 2 months had passed. Moffin felt that his training had not improved. Moffin only did cultivation but never practiced defeating monsters. Moffin remembered when Jang saved him and his injury. Moffin was only lucky to defeat the wolf. Then, Moffin thought for a moment about what steps he would take. Suddenly, Moffin wanted to become a hunter mage to gain field experience. Since Moffin was still in school, he had to join a team in the city. The next day, Moffin went to the hunter hall and read the jobs on the board. 2 hunters were gossiping about missions. Then they discussed the city hunters who were busy looking for members. Moffin became interested and asked one of the men. The man explained that the city hunter was looking for new hunters as members. If a fire element joined, they would consider it. Moffin asked the man, what if a lightning element joined? The man laughed because a lightning element appeared only once every 1,000 years among wizards. Then Moffin asked where the city hunter registration was. The man pointed at the super crowded queue, indicating it as Moffin's recruitment place. He queued up and intended to register to become a city hunter. Inside the captain's room, because none of the applicants met the requirements, the city hunter members were puzzled among the many applicants, but none passed. Then it was Moffin's turn. He asked the members if a lightning element would be accepted. A female member named Zio was surprised to hear Moffin's question. A man was surprised to know that there was a lightning element willing to join without hesitation. Knowledge would show everything. In front of their members, they were very surprised and said they would ask the captain openly. The captain welcomed Moffin's presence and immediately accepted him. Moffin mentioned all his shortcomings, but the captain didn't mind. Then the other participants were asked to disperse because they had found a new member. The captain welcomed Moffin and introduced him to the other hunter members. One member told the captain that after appearing in the monster city, it had claimed many victims and until now, its hiding place was unknown. The captain asked his members to prepare to fight the monster as well as Moffin, and he would start his first mission. After that, the captain and the city hunter entourage went to women's school. On the way, Moffin was busy calling Seneca's number because he was studying there. Upon arriving at the school, the captain asked a male member named Liu Kang and others to check every corner of the school. Then Moffin walked around the school alone and heard his phone ringing. His younger brother was calling from a public phone booth and informed Moffin that their friend had suddenly disappeared while they were at school, while his younger brother was outside the school and under police protection. Then Moffin heard something approaching him in the next room. A rat monster attacked from the glass, and Moffin dodged. How should he face this sudden monster attack? Then Zio saved Moffin using the water element. Zio asked Moffin to retreat and the other members would take over. Moffin saw the city hunter members quickly and easily defeat the rat monster, especially the captain with the fire element who could burn the rat monster so that it died suddenly. The rat monster suddenly revived and attacked one of the female members named Kading. But with Moffin's intervention, he was able to block the rat's attack using the lightning element, so it died. The captain scolded Zio for being slow and helping her companion using the water element. The captain asked the other members to thank Moffin for saving the seamstress. After that, they searched for the whereabouts of the missing student. Zio told the captain that there were many rat monsters in their nest, possibly they took the student to their nest. The captain told his members that this would be reported to the Magic Council, so they would return home because the mission would be taken over. On the way, Linging teased the seamstress and said he had to repay Moffin by marrying her. The seamstress was very annoyed to hear her friend's jokes. Upon arriving on the street near Moffin's house, he saw Seneca waiting in front of the phone booth with a worried face. Moffin approached his sister and told her funny things to make Seneca smile again. The next day, Moffin received a bonus from his boss because of his outstanding performance, even though Moffin was a new member of the city hunter. Moving to your family's residence, a man named Yuem, Joyan's foster son, went to see his father and asked why he was involved in an unequal fight. Yuem only regarded Moffin as an ordinary clown. Joyan explained that this would be related to the upcoming duel event that would be attended by the underground Holy Spring, and they would witness his abilities. Eventually, Yuem agreed to duel with Moffin, feeling he would win. Turning to the baby who was gossiping with his uncle Mubai, afraid that if Moffin won, he would enter the underground Holy Spring, which made Mubai upset, confidently stating that Moffin wouldn't be able to win against young Mubai. He asked if Yuang would inherit Lord Muzion's wealth. Muir explained that Young was just being kept as a pet by Lord Joyan so that Ningxu could climb to the top. The real successor was Ningxu, Lord Joyan's daughter. On the other hand, they showed the one-eyed wolf monsters, and it was very quiet the next day at school, with someone telling Muffin that Jongmin had been looking for him these past few days. Muffin thought Jongmin wanted to ask him out on a date, feeling his timing was off because they were still focused on studying. Soon, Jongmin approached Muffin and asked to meet him later that night. It turned out that Fatso wanted to ask him to find out the cause of the earthquakes in the abandoned warehouse area. Grandma Zoom lived in the warehouse area and always felt earthquakes every night. Muffin misunderstood and was about to shoot him, but Muffin quickly said it might be a monster snake or rat and investigated it in the warehouse. Muffin used monster tracking powder and soon found its trail. Shortly after, the one-eyed wolf monster appeared with food in its mouth. Muffin asked Salmon to find his grandmother and inform the police, but Zoomin held the police near the monster, so their presence was known. Muffin told Zoomin that the monster was very sensitive to electronic devices. Muffin took the woman away and asked her to seek help while he faced the monster alone. Next, Muffin called Jahedin and he came with Yuang to the scene. Jahedin didn't recognize Muffin because he was disguised with a mask when he was a City Hunter member, thinking Muffin was just an ordinary kid and told him to leave. After that, Muffin left and changed his uniform to become a Chibai Hunter member. Muffin's disguise couldn't be known because he was a dual element user. Upon returning to the scene, Muffin saw that the captain and others had gathered. Yuang and Jahedin froze the monster, and then the captain asked Muffin to use his lightning element to attack the monster, but the monster was too strong, and they were overwhelmed. Next, the captain asked each City Hunter member to incapacitate the one-eyed wolf monster. The captain used fire elements to burn it, but it only made it stronger. Zio used water elements to attack the monster but failed. All City Hunter members took turns attacking the monster, but they failed again, so the captain was injured and felt that the City Hunter members would be killed by the one-eyed wolf monster. Then the MC began his action, attacking the monster with lightning elements. Muffin was able to confront the monster. Soon Captain and the others launched a collaborative attack. Shortly after, a man named Mr. appeared, who helped them incapacitate the monster. Finally, the young monster was defeated. He was amazed by Mr. S skill and praised him. Mr. was curious, since when did the City Hunter group get a new member? Captain explained, Muffin joined through a selection process. Everyone left. Keek found Muffin's antics amusing, except for Yuam. After that, Muffin headed back to the dormitory and was greeted by a zombie, who hugged the MC automatically because his grandmother was saved thanks to Muffin. The MC started feeling overwhelmed and comforted the chubby one who was sad. A few days later, Muffin met Ja and gave her money to buy a cell phone, but she refused, asking Muffin to keep the money for himself. Muffin said that if he was a witch, he would easily get money. His little sister was very happy and informed Muffin that Ja was a healing witch, also known as a white witch, and chose her healing-type sibling. Sylvia wanted to support his brave talent and become a great witch. Time passed quickly. In a few days, the duel between Yuam and Muffin would begin. Kyudang Yue summoned Muffin to the headmaster's office. Upon arriving at the headmaster's office, Muffin was informed of the purpose of the duel. Muffin said, if Mr. Jae-yun intentionally arranged the duel on the 18th birthday celebration of Yuam and invited other famous figures, let's participate. The headmaster said that was just one of the reasons. Mr. Jae-yun wanted to show Liu Kang's skills to the organization so his son could get an invitation. The headmaster asked Muffin to win the match so their school's name wouldn't be tarnished. Confidently, Muffin said he would win the cake that night. Muffin sat on the hill, looking at your house, which would become the arena for his duel against Yuam. Soon, Ningsu approached him and asked Muffin to withdraw from the duel. Muffin refused, saying he would fight Yuan in public. Ningsu insisted that they should immediately make Muffin fail the university entrance exam. Muffin didn't care anymore. What he cared about was his father's dignity. Muffin explained to Ningsu that his victory would earn his father's respect. Muffin was determined to avenge his father's mistreatment by Ningsu's father, just as Ningsu honored her father. Similarly, Muffin loved his father very much and would defend him to the death. Muffin was determined to revenge and strike back at Ningsu's father's selfishness. Then the MC left the woman, and finally, the day of the match arrived. Muffin came to your family's house and greeted the tailor, but he was very grumpy. Muffin forgot that he had been using a mask all this time to avoid being recognized as a member of City Hunter. The tailor greeted him and the others who had just arrived at the house. They were very disappointed to see the Thunder Boy couldn't be there. For some reason, after seeing Muffin, Zio and the others felt they knew him. Then Muffin entered the party area and ate heartily with his friends. While Muffin was devouring his food, he asked what they were doing there. Zoom and the others from Medin were asked for their support for Muffin. Then Muffin and the others listened to Zhao Yun's speech. Zhao Yun introduced Yuam to the guests, saying he would be your family's successor. Then Mr. Jae-yun said that soon they would show the duel between two young men. Cindy showed the duel arena and the guests had taken their seats. Muffin's father was there, ready to witness his son's fight. Soon Captain arrived at the spectator area and sat next to Muffin's father, although they didn't know each other. Then gave the signal and the duel began. Yuum was very arrogant, underestimating Muffin's firepower. Muffin attacked using the ice element, the level 3 spear technique, extinguishing the fire. The audience underestimated Muffin's power, thinking he had lost, even fearing seeing Muffin being attacked by Yuum. But Mr. Jang enjoyed the parody and was about to seek his revenge. Next, Muffin struggles to gather the 7 constellations, summoning the fire element to block the hail. Muffin focuses his mind and successfully invokes Star 7, knowing he unleashes fire element level 3 to counter the helpless ice attacks on the floor, astonishing the audience. Muffin's friends are thrilled that the boy can retaliate against the opponent's attacks, but the remaining opponent is not pleased with being defeated. He rises and will continue the match. Come on, Aang. Wearing Zira's outfit made of magical armor, Aang brandishes magical weapons against Muffin. Asks Lord Zhaoyun to stop the match because the fire magic will not penetrate the opponent's magical armor, but the old man Seiko ignores it and will enjoy Muffin's suffering. Then, Chairman Jang Kong shouts from the audience and asks Muffin to attack, saying the boy won't be able to win against magical weapons. Chairman Jang Kong says the world has recognized the greatness of the MC, so he should stop now. Then Yuum humiliates his father, making Muffin very angry. Muffin won't accept his father being humiliated by someone else. Muffin's father's struggle to educate him is seen until he successfully becomes a wizard. Then Muffin uses lightning element level 3 and intends to attack Yuum. The audience is surprised to know that the MC has 2 magic elements. So far, Muffin is very strong and throws his lightning magic, piercing Juryu's armor until it cracks into pieces. His son can be defeated with just 1 attack. Zhaoyun, who is Seiko, just found out that Muffin has 2 fighting skills. Likewise, the tailor is very surprised to find out that Muffin is their colleague in City Hunter, and the headmaster is shocked too. Likewise, the captain and other City Hunter members recognize the boy as their colleague. The captain laughs when he finds out that his pride and joy won the duel, making him proud. Lord Jang is very happy that Muffin can finally avenge himself and beat Yuum until he's helpless. Finally, the world knows the true power of the MC, and he has succeeded in avenging his father's humiliation. Muffin's hard work has paid off in recent years, and he can prove it all to his enemies, and the story ends here.